Wholeness, welcome. This is Josh of Integrating Presence, and I've got Michaell Magrutsche with me today. Michaell, what's going on today?
I'm alive, number one. I always say that because, there's nothing we can do if I'm not alive, right? I'm here, I'm happy, I'm alive. And so I'm born in Vienna. I moved to America like 47 years ago, um, moved all around. And actually, I ended up at the place where I started at Laguna Beach. And I studied all kinds of metaphysics and spiritual, and I couldn't use it. I also am a certified coach. I couldn't use it. In school, I couldn't learn. So I have 6 years of school, but I wrote 8 books, published 5, worked with Robert Evans, who did The Godfather, co-produced with him. I was an arts commissioner. The 5 books that I published are all art related. And I literally learned from art, through art. So all my awareness that I have no linear thinking, no binary, good or bad or right or wrong. I just take it day by day. And I found that knowledge is always forcing you to be linear, and awareness is what we are. And I call us humans. I coined a name that I saw in the arts world. We are collaborative, creative species of nature. And we are 8 billion one of one. People don't, when I say one of one, what do you mean? One of one. That's also scientific. So we have scientifically proven that there's no two Joshuas, there's not two Michaels. We might have that common names, but there's no second one. So and I was thinking, why would nature create that? Why don't they make us like the systems call us? A guy, an English guy, an American guy, a girl, an Asian, a black. Why is that? And I believe that nature doesn't make mistakes because when you talk to real scientists that understand science, they say, we know nothing. And I go always out from, I don't know nothing. I'm now in the moment and do the best of my abilities to be think, but I don't say I'm a creator. Whatever comes through me, for example, in podcasts, I'm usually the loudspeaker from what comes in from you and me. So I wouldn't say, oh, Josh, I'm sorry, it's all me. No, it's not all me. It's us, because it's all humans. It's always the humanity, and that's why I go all in awareness. Because I have no school, I cannot be system relevant, So and I segregate to system relevant, being a doctor, CEO, superstar, or human-centric. Because the best musicians, the best artists are not the one that are famous, but they have, the one vibration is that they affect a lot of people. And so that's why and that's the icing on the cake. We all create. We have to create. We are collaborative creative species. So we have to create. And when we are boxed by a system, you know what happens. So they put you and me into a box. So we are the best friends and whatever. And then we try to get in that box. Yeah, I know that it's hot, there's cold. I'm trying to game the system, what everybody does right now in the world, right? So we're gaming the systems because we have to create, we have to grow. We can't just say, okay, let's just sit in a corner in each box and just be. That is not, so we have to create. And then we create, and then we do we game the systems, then we compete, and then we kill each other. Because creativity goes either, you can use creativity, our first superpower, by the way. You can use it to create beauty, collaborative, go into realms that nobody can go. We could do that. Or we can be in the box and create war, which is the box is always system. So go ahead, ask away.
That's a really good point. Wow. Well, a few things here. You said The Godfather. Was that an artist? Back up and say that, because that is a big cultural phenomena. Why is there only one of us? Do you know a why? Maybe that's just for God to
I
know.
think
And then
because
before I forget, real quick,
yeah,
then we'll go to the boxes, because I
yeah.
love this metaphor of this. So yeah. So,
So why are we 101? I don't know, but I don't want to even. I don't want to. I want to research this and have a thesis, but it's a thesis. I don't know anything. So we are 101, which makes the most sense to me. Might not make any sense to you, but it's like there's no dog that is the same. There is,
this is like a painting that you're not going to make prints out of, right? It's just one of one.
I
Is
only
that
make
is
101
that's what you
paintings
mean?
the
Exactly,
same way.
exactly.
I don't
There's
do
no prints. There's no
no.
duplications.
Yeah,
It's just
no.
that's it. Yeah.
Because it's from that moment. It is uninteresting when I say, "Oh, I mean, what would Mona Lisa be if there were 20,000?" And there are copies, but it is not the Mona Lisa. And it's very good example that you brought me to. The Mona Lisa, for example, Da Vinci didn't think, "Oh, it's my greatest painting in the world." He just said, "Okay, I do this." And then when you look in the Mona Lisa, when you look actually in it, it's the most interesting, involving part is not Mona Lisa; it's the background. Where the hell did he find that background of Mona Lisa
Wait a
that
second.
is like a space?
It's not the smile or lack of smile.
No, no, that's just a system thing. Oh my God, she looks at everybody. She looks at it, wherever you go. It's the background. The background is like in a space. Freaking, it's not in a. And people interpret it as, oh, there was she in a, and there was a, what is it called? Where you cut stone and in a, what is it called?
A quarry.
A quarry. Yeah, it's a quarry. And that's not a quarry. Look at the background, and it's always, it's really interesting how the system presents her. It focuses always on her face, even the lighting. In when they photograph the lighting, it's her face. But what's really important is her background. The background that's what art's supposed to do: make questions and say why. Why did Josh paint the thing and there's a big pimple here? Why didn't you take that pimple off? Yeah, there is a reason why, and the question. It's not about the answer. It's not never about the answer. It's about the question. It's about the question. And so I believe, when we look for the higher power, God, Buddha, whatever, universe or whatever, to comprehend that, I found for my life, 65 years, I found interacting with other human beings that are also a 101. I have a perspective from my life, right, about whatever, the Tories, the Republicans, the Democrats, or whatever, about woman, about man. I have experience. And when I have a dialogue, not a discourse with you, discourse is competitive, dialogue, so human-centric thing, then my perspective gets expands and gets clearer, and your perspective gets clearer. And that's why the most valuable thing as humans. So to have wars and kill humans, are you insane? For money that we created, that's not even in nature, that we created? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna. And I always said that before, and that there were not about wars. War was not so important about wars. But I was saying in my class when I taught art, I said, no, I lost the train. Hold on. I have to pull that back in my neurodiversity. So I was thinking, I'm creating a statue, right? And beautiful. Everybody says, oh my God, it's the greatest statue, or it's not. Or I find this the best. And all of a sudden I start talking to this sculpture. And then I say, okay, should I go and talk to Josh today? Or should I screw that? Or should I really get down on him? And I imagine that I should go down on you and hurt you. I mean, you cannot create something like money and have your humanity totally erased. I mean, we kill people, we poison the planet, and we are the stewards. We have so much power in creativity and thing to be the stewards of this planet, to really grow and find the human potential. And we don't give a shit about human potential. We don't give a shit about humans. We don't give a shit about nature. It's just, I have to survive. But it's us. Everything is us. And when we get a little bit more about the one of oneness, that's why I always say the one of one. How can you be right or wrong? Alone from that, how can you be right or wrong? Because everybody's a one of one. And and there is no such thing as that's good, that's evil, that's bad, whatever. We need evil to see good, It's okay. It's okay to have evil. It's okay. But it's gotten pivoted so far because of money, because of something we created. And I think this is what we have to really realize and become aware of, that we the financial principles are long before, long in tribal even it started, because the people on top had so much fear to lose that position. And there's also something that the top took advantage of the position and get out of, do the stuff that you don't like, clean my bathroom, do this. So it's always one human, the one human set of human want the other to be the slaves. And you see that right now in England, especially, where people try to enslave humans. Only the spirit of England is so old and is so deep. There's no way ever that they can do that. They can try it, but I want you to see as a weakness when somebody tries to submit the people of England. That's fear-based, because there is never any reason why I need to be afraid of you.
Well, I think that the people here are, they're subjects to the crown, right? They're not even citizens. They're subjects to the crown, and there's so much diversity here, which is great. But it's just, as long as you serve the crown, I'd probably take anybody. And after the, not to complain too much here, but after all the exploits with the East Indian Company, now it's just coming home on the doorstep, maybe. But in America, this absurdity of war, it's so refreshing to meet somebody that's radically anti-war like you. I'm the same way. What are they going to do? Put a gun in my hand and make me pull the trigger of strangers that I have never
don't
met?
Know. You don't know him.
For ideologies that are like completely brainwashed. So basically certain people can get richer and lie to you and tell you why it's patriotic, or why we need to protect. It's BS to the highest degree. It's patriot programming, and it's ridiculous. I mean, they can't put a gun in my hand and make me kill somebody.
60 wars.
For
Josh,
profit.
We have 60 wars all over. It's all over the world.
In America, it's a soft power. Everybody's mind controlled, so to speak.
Yeah.
So they don't have to have guards making sure everybody, stays in line, because they control the mind, basically, I would say. And, this notion of, the Mona Lisa, this is the background of that, which is really interesting, because when I try to bring this up in the mind, there's something in the background there. It's interesting. There's a lot going on, but we're always told to really look, that's the Mona Lisa, not the Mona Lisa's background.
Exactly.
But it is, fairly involved, and, so I have to take another look at that. And this speaks to awareness too, So and perception as well, because if people control the narrative, they control people's minds in a lot of ways, right? It's this perception, deception, control the narrative, look over here, not over there. But awareness is so vast and profound. that it can't include everything as long as we have kind of the resources and the obstacles removed from it, and a good heart too. And I will say, I will agree with you on an ultimate level. Yes, there's no good or evil, and yes, we can use this polarity to our advantage and know one thing over the other. And we can look at opposition and say, no, we don't want to really oppose anything. We want to cooperate and balance and be in the middle here. And at the same time to all that, to me, it's really based on non-harming. I don't like to call it right
Harm
or
to none.
wrong,
Harm to none.
good or evil. It's what's skillful, what's wholesome and helpful, and what's wise. That way.
Yep.
I mean, everybody can kind of relate to that, no matter what they're doing in the world. If it's skillful, if it's wise, if it's helpful, and then we just kind of expand from there. And to me, it comes down to non-harming and the non-war thing. Or actually, what was the John Lennon that he was so dangerous because he wasn't anti-war. He wasn't focused on what you didn't want. He focused on what he wanted, peace, everything for peace, and they didn't know how to handle that because if I'm fighting war, well, then I'm just kind of feeding into the same energy that it's putting out there,
Yeah, that's why I always say, we understand. I wrote a very long article, and we can add that to your thing if you want to. I wrote 2 articles or 3 articles about war, and I looked at what human-centrically, what is the advantage of war? Like, there must be one advantage, and there is no advantage, and people need to be aware there is no advantage in any way you think about it, There's no advantage. We made nations, we made, the systems, the boxes, and now, because they are boxed, we have to use our creativity to fight each other. Versus, there is no box, and what happens in England and everywhere. When you look at the people that hang out, there's a black person, there's a white person, everybody's fine. And especially in the arts, there's no, that doesn't exist. A woman is a better old man in the theater. She plays the old man. I don't care, Josh. If you want to play the old man, I have this girl, Shelley, and she plays an old man better than any old man I know. So I use that. It's always the one-on-oneness. If she's the best expression of a man, she needs to be man. Not what color, what gender, what race she is. It's irrelevant. I have a good example of perspection because I like that you say perspection. Because let's say I go with my girlfriend to eat Indian. And you told me, I said, hey, it's the greatest Indian. Let's go. So I say, okay, it's our anniversary. Let's go Indian. And we go eat. And it could be Chinese, could be anything. I don't want to even go there. So we eat. And
it's probably the Russians, by the way. It's probably the Russians.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always somebody that we have to find. So she feels sick. The next morning she wakes up and said, I think I ate something bad. I don't like that restaurant, right? And we go on, we go to work, come back. She wakes up the next day. She still feels sick. And she says, Michael, I don't like you. That you even get on our anniversary, you brought me to this restaurant, I'm sick. So the third day she goes to the doctor, And she goes to the doctor and says, you know what, Shelley, I never thought you were going to get pregnant, but you are pregnant. Do you see the restaurant, me, I'm the biggest asshole to take her. And then, and then she's so happy. It's all the perspective of how we look at things. And that's
what about
awareness.
Me who recommended it? What about me who recommended the place to begin with? Don't forget about that.
If I add one day, then it says, never go, but I'm never going to do what Josh does, So, and I say, I don't even want to be friends. I know he's your best friend, but I don't want to be friends with him. So you can, and this is the endless perspective that we have, endless. And we have an endless perspective to integrate our one-on-oneness, to grow. It's always to expand, and then create better. And so I'm not against war. I say, just give me a reason why we have a war. If you give me a right reason to kill somebody we don't know, that we destroy the infrastructure, and also you can never be pro climate change and pro war, because that is just taking our tax money and just say, hey, let's do climate change, let's spend there, and they enrich themselves on both.
Of course.
And I'm saying you have to make a decision: pro climate change
Yep.
or pro war.
See all the
It can't get through.
cognitive dissonance, the amount of cognitive dissonance and deception
Yeah.
everyone is under is just unfathomable almost.
Mm-hmm.
This notion that I would say, if I had to think about it, war, I think in the ancient world, a lot of times it was over water rights. We
Yeah.
don't have that today. Some people might think they're projecting it, but even that, the historical Buddha, this is, he's said to have intervened in two different wars, and they stopped while he was doing it. But
Yeah.
as soon as he left,
I know.
they just can't. Yeah, this thing. And some people say it's just due to their past actions, that so many people have made these past actions with not the greatest intentions in the past, that they're now fruiting in this war, and that's why we could hardly ever completely eradicate war. And I will just say that even the long run, let's just say it is over water rights where, okay, well, I have to, it's a Hunger Games scenario or some BS like this, where I have to fight to have water or food. And I say, screw it. If there is the next life, then what you will get involved in fighting for food, for survivalism. The survivalism programming is so hardcore, so
Scarcity.
rampant.
Yeah.
Scarcity and survival. Look at so many of these movies, the apocalypse and fighting to survive. No, we're here to do way more than that. And it's just kind of dumbing people down, keeping them in fear and scarcity, like you said. But on the long run for this, I don't even think it's worth it, because if we look at the lifetime after the next lifetime, that action of getting and killing for, a morsel of food or water, that's not going to bode well, more than likely, in future lifetimes. So I just say it's a lot of it's based on fear, and how much fear of death is driving people's decisions in life too, So you can comment on that. I want to go back to the boxes thing though too.
Yeah.
And what I'm a devil's advocate a little bit, but I like my boxes. That's how I understand the world. If I know it goes in this box, then I know how to address people and how to know my place in the world and know where everything goes. And so that way I can feel in my comfort zone and I can feel okay about things and I have some understanding in the world. What would you say to people that operate like that? Yeah.
So first, I
different
wanted
things
to
here.
say, you said water. It's actually happening right now. India, China, where water is more expensive than blood. So it's going to be genocide and whatever. That's what they are afraid of, or that's what the scarcity they into. We have also, the discovery of oil. That there's endless oil. They're not from the reptiles. That's all. That's all conditioning. So there is enough. There's abundance in this world. When somebody says, "Oh, well, they're so screwed up," or whatever, I say, "You're not looking. You're not looking. You're focusing on the scarcity, and that's conditioning. Nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. And the scarcity is also affecting the leaders, because if, let's say, there's 10,000 leaders, I make it really big. So how do you feel like you're going to be in this world with 10,000 people and not 8 billion one-on-ones? How you cannot exploit anybody. You have to just, and then you have to be boxed. Then we go to the box. You're boxed, and you have to fight against, which we see now that leaders already fight with each other. I mean, the biggest person, most human, the system relevant president, Trump, and the most system relevant businessman, they're both businessmen, but uh, Elon Musk, they showed the world that money is bigger than their friendship. I mean, that is so inhumane what they did, you know. And Elon says, "I don't care about money." Yeah, you do, because I don't believe you, because you would not allow that. If you were so strong, you're the richest person in the world. You cannot tell Trump, "Hey, what are we doing? Be wise, be aware." And the boxing is a tribal thing. Of course, we are a herd animal. Of course, you feel better with your family. Even if your family is dysfunctional, you at least know the dysfunction. In the world, in the digital world, which is the most inhumane is the digital world, which is constantly changing. Look at your phone, your mobile phone. They change. They don't even tell you. The stop button was on the right top, and now it's the stop button is on the left low. They don't even tell you. I said, figure it out. That's total control. That is total manipulation. That is totally ignoring human needs. It's the customer satisfaction. It totally ignores it. Show me first. I said, I was in AI discussion rounds and stuff, and I say, what is AI doing for humans other than what the computer did to make them better worker bees? What is AI doing for me? I know it's doing for a system, makes me a better worker bee, figuring out how to do a presentation, all this stuff is okay. But what is it doing for us? Show me. I never hear him say, I heard one thing say that they found out the DNA sequence, which would have taken a lot of years to do, because it's like literally one sequence needs one sequence you can figure out with studying, getting a degree. So now it's all done. Now that is helping humans, but they don't even promote that. They said that, but they don't even. I said, what is it doing for humans? And we are herd animals. The optimal thing is 150 people, 175 people is between there. They found out is the best, most efficient, because in nature efficiency, that's what you say. You said that it has to work in the same. Yeah, the most efficient. Not spiritual. The most efficient is about 150 to 170 people. Okay, then why do we want to make globalization? Globalization is on one thing good, on the internet or what, but it's actually disempowering all the one-on-oneness. It's generalizing and.
Well, I think, there was a big globalist agenda for a long time, and maybe it's still going on, but there's people talking about how that's coming to an end now. And people are withdrawing globalization in the States, coming back to, do more regionalism now. So I don't know how that will go, but there's a few things you talked about, and that's a really pertinent question, framing it like that. What is AI doing for humanity other than making us even more efficient worker bees? Wow, what a profound question, and it really speaks into what I've been hearing more and more people talk about, is this technocracy and technate and a technological control grid where everything is going to be tracked and monitored and traced, and it will tie into maybe a social credit system like what the Chinese have, where if they don't like what you're doing, what you're saying, then they can just shut off your funding, or saying you're not allowed to leave 2-mile radius from your home because you did this and that. And then so and then getting rid of cash, making it all digital currency. So I don't know. That's a real, especially you look with people like who Trump's surrounding himself with, like Palantir, this pre-crime program almost, and Elon. And by the way, I saw that they fought, but you'll have to. I'm sorry, I'm completely out of it. I don't even know what that was about. And then the last thing I'll say is, this is I think on a local level, maybe voting could help or could be of significance, but they even tell you in mainstream university that unless it's a tiebreaker, your vote doesn't really count. And to me, it's like handing over my power to another group of adults who are now in control of telling other groups of adults what they can and cannot do. And not only that, saying, okay, Well, I'm gonna. Josh approves of me now saying, okay, well, I'm gonna draft these people to go over and kill
Hmm.
strangers for these very
Hmm.
patriotic reasons, and so we can make a lot of money. No, I'm sorry, I can't consent to that, nor can I consent to people in uniforms with a gun threatening to
Intimidating, intimidating.
lock people in a cage for nonviolent offenses like not paying taxes. And just for the record, I do pay my tax, even though I don't really owe a lot of taxes. I have to
Yeah.
spend a lot of time and money with a tax professional preparing the taxes and submitting them,
No
even though
kidding. No
but
kidding.
anyway, so I just don't consider. Now what's the alternative? I shouldn't even complain about this unless I have I'm sorry, I don't. Some people will think about constitution convention and rewriting the whole thing, but the state of consciousness we're in today, I really think there could be a huge mistake, even though they've gone so far from it, and it's not that significant of a document anymore. But just because it's not being really reinforced, maybe the way it ought to, but still, I just don't think we're in a place where that could be a solution. So I'm sorry, I shouldn't even complain about this because I don't really have solutions other than this kind of exit and build thing some people are talking about. Going out of the system and just doing your own thing kind of off grid. I have some friends
But it's
doing that, but
against. I
yeah,
know a lot, but it's again. Why
yeah,
can't we be together, right?
exactly. Yeah,
And
that's a
aware,
good
and I
point.
think that's the awareness. It's the lack of awareness. The highest intelligence is awareness that we know of right now. It might be higher, of course, but we know of the awareness is the most. And all the things that you said, we all feel the same. It's not you didn't say, "Oh my God, that was just," I didn't know that. We all suffer. For what reason? For what reason do we suffer? You know, and I think we can. We are so creative. We could do every solution, and nobody wants to do solution. They want to hang on to the old. What they know, which is actually tribal. It's like, okay, it was so. I cannot go in any direction because I'm not allowed. There's the soldiers and there's the military and there's the state, and this is absolute control. And control is the fear of love, the fear of being one. And love isn't like what the system sells. Love is just emotional feedback that you balance. When you meet somebody and you feel so all of a sudden so great and whatever, is that resonance brings you into balance of nature, into your one-on-oneness.
Yes,
And that's why you think, and all of a sudden, and you see it when people fall in love, all of a sudden they don't care about taxes. They don't
yeah.
care about police. They don't
College
nothing.
degree.
Just
Yeah.
to bring him, in the balance. And it's not on Valentine's Day you have to give this and whatever. So
Yeah, this is our natural state too. When the things are removed from obscuring it and hindering it, this is our natural state. Totally
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
we always go in the system relevance to say okay because that's also taking advantage of the tribal the animal, the social animal, right? That's it. When nothing helps, you listen to the wise people. But there is no wise people. You listen to what the system says. Oh, if you do this, and the stuff is, I'm not on drugs. I don't have any drugs. I have no criminal records. Nothing, and I still struggle like everybody else. I have the awareness, whatever, but people just, that's why I say it's so important. The podcasting is for in general good because people can follow. They are just two humans and they can do their perception, clarify it. It's not that you and I talk them into something. They listen, and when they listen, they get clear about their own perception of life. I haven't thought about this. Oh my God.
That's a beautiful way to put it, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like kind of a window in on something that people normally wouldn't get a chance to do, you know. And
exactly.
there is something about the podcasting where it's a little bit contrived, right? I put
Yeah,
on this kind of podcast persona, but it's as
yeah.
authentic as it can be for this kind of artificial setup. But and then there's sometimes it's more natural and connective than
Mm-hmm.
others, and there's some things that are said off when it just something happens when you hit the record button. Sometimes that doesn't happen, or that happens in a different way. when the record button's not going on, which is a really fascinating, interesting phenomena, I find. I mean, I don't know why that is or how that works, but it seems to be a thing, at least for quite a few people I talk about.
No,
Yeah.
no, it is because you want. It's like when you go to an event, right? You dress up. You're not usually. You don't even want to dress up. You have a T-shirt on. You go to dress up, and then I fixed my hair and stuff before I came on here. But it's just this is how you want to be represented yourself. You want to represent your one-on-one is to the world. Um, it's still an acting. It's still it's still a way of acting. Uh, but I don't. That's our system conditioning made us that way. It's the system conditioning. You have to speak right. You cannot say f f f f f, and all this stuff.
So, what is this? What is your, do you have like a daily practice, or when you go and do physical art, what do you just wait for inspiration? Do you have like a theme that you keep going on? How do you approach it? And then you mentioned before the show, art is dead, long live art. Tell me how the art world's dead,
Yeah.
and your insights on it.
Again, we have to segregate system relevant art, the art business, and human-centric art. I am all because I did 3,000 paintings, have made a CD, did film, did a video. I'm not famous. I'm not, I want to think there's some people that love my art, but it's not hundreds of thousands. And there is, but I got educated that I even can talk to you because I was stuttering, I couldn't read, through creation. So I need to create all the time. And actually, selling the art is I don't I can because it's not creating. It's just trying to and I don't buy art from anybody if I don't like it. I buy some art, but I usually get it for free because they're friends of mine. They get from me. But what happened with art was it got systemized, and when it got systemized, it's about they look at 5 artists and there's nobody, they go to the next 5 artists. And if they see something is kicking in, like, oh, there's a Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg is a good example because he did, I think, 1 billion downloads or millions of downloads. And you know how much he got? $142,000. 142,000. Snoop Dogg, not you, me. Snoop Dogg. If I said, hey, Josh, I made 100, I would be happy. And none of the system relevant people of Spotify makes under 300, or whatever I don't know, was part of whoever he said he had this thing. And then, so they wouldn't exist. That board wouldn't exist without the talent. And again, we can loop back to there's one people that want other people to generate for them because they're so afraid of living. And what you said about the fear of living, the fear of dying is actually become now a fear of living. So people are afraid of dying and living. So that's why you have so much resentment, and that's why you have so much against each other. So we cannot. If I'm afraid of living and dying, and you're afraid of dying, and they put us in a box, we start fighting right away. We don't try to game the system. And this is why it's pivoted. That's why I told you, it's never enough no matter what we do. So if you and I make 100 grand today, then in a half a year we have to make 120. And if we're not, there's only one excuse to get lower the costs, lower the quality, lower the costs, lower the people that take care of you when you buy something or whatever. And this is always lack. And lack is an unnatural thing because then nature is, abundant. And you cannot fight nature. So sooner or later, either through wars or through anything else, it turns around. So this is what I say with the boxing. When you box people, they kill each other.
Yeah, it's just like you pile a bunch of rats in a cage, and that's what's going to happen too. So, how do you think people make it in the industry in art? Do you really think there's a lot of nefarious things like in Hollywood going on where people have to do things that I've just heard so many horrendous
Yeah, till it breaks.
accusations. Yeah,
Boxing,
yeah,
boxing a system. I work with Hollywood. Boxing
yeah.
a system is is a problem. It's always a problem. It's because it should be free. It should be whatever. And now they try to change it. All these companies, entertainment companies making stuff where everybody. But it's again the talent is exploited because they say let's sponsor 10 people, and then find out which one get relevant, system relevant, and then to support those. So they actually there's nothing worth, and I wrote a long paper on that too, is always humans like migrants, homeless, is always a system profit. It's always a system profit. So we start a war, we start migrate. We alter the nature, we get migrants. Now we have migrants, now they say, oh, they gave them luxury hotels. No, they made money because those hotels couldn't be sold out, and they gave that to thing. And they used the migrants then, and then it's so great to blame. Have you never experienced that it's always the human's fault? It's never the system's fault. It's because these black people and Muslims and it's always somebody that can be actually, we are actually not effective as a system. A system should be effective, right? And then we actually twist it and spin it so that it's always your fault. So when you go to a doctor and you cannot get healed, it's your fault.
But Michael, if we have to have systems, otherwise it would just be
I understand.
chaos.
No, I understand.
It would be total chaos.
But you know what systems are, Josh. You know what systems are.
No, tell me.
Okay, so when we're in tribe, right? In a tribe, and they said, "Man, Josh, you are such a good cook. What is if you just cook for a couple of people, right? What do you cook for a thing? And we bring you the food, and we bring you, and we exchange, right? We give you our value where we are good. We're great pickers, and you are a great cook, or you are good with horses, or you are good with stitching up clothes, and that's how it started. But then as a service, we created systems so we don't have to do everything as a single person. So you have to build your car, you have to build your apartment, you have to build. No, we made that, right, that way. So we created that to serve, not that you cook and all of a sudden we are indebted to you, or everybody's indebted to you. No, you serve the tribe, and you help that people actually can increase their human potential. Because so now I have time. I don't have to cook 2 hours. You do the cooking, so I can go and I find new ways of hunting. I find new ways of picking berries or exploring the territory where the best berries are. See, now system is not mean. It's not thing. And also the same is again, of course, in England you drive on the different side of the street. You got to say, there's certain rules which are guidelines, not absolutes. And people are just submitting to everything. And what happened is, the sad thing is that now people don't care anymore because you have fear of life and fear of death. So people don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. And then,
So what has happened then? Is it instead of just gaming the system, it's gone further than that? What's going on now, where it's not just someone doing their craft in order to serve their tribe? What's happened?
What's happening is the fear of losing that leader position, of all the leaders and the people have given systemic power. Because if I'm a cop, I'm not saying cops are bad. I'm very pro cop, but I'm saying I force you, and there's good and bad. Like every race, there's good and bad ones. And I can say, yeah, because I can, I punish you. Because I can, I get your car towed. Because I can, I do this. And you have a farm, and I'm in charge of the government farming. I can close your farm down because I can, and because if I don't do this, then I don't justify my job. So my income gets higher, the leader's income gets higher, and the other, because it is, you have to show that you matter. We have that because we are 101. We have that feeling of we need to matter, right? We are mattering. And tell me one person that doesn't think, oh, he's special. You're special because you're 101. There's nothing wrong with it. To say, hey, Josh, I'm sorry. You think you're special, you're nothing. What have you done? What have you systemically done? And it is not about that. It's about, because nature gave you life, you have a part of this earth. And you can't be killed. You can't be annihilated because you have no value. I mean, Stephen Hawking, right? The guy, if not anybody would have just found him or read what he did, he would be dead probably 20 years before somewhere because nobody gives a shit about him. It's just the luck that he got it, and he showed, and his condition showed his one-on-oneness. That doesn't mean he was the greatest guy or anything, but it shows his one-on-oneness.
Yeah.
And now he could execute his one-on-one. He can express it, and then he can feel his mattering.
This it raises all kinds of really profound points. You're also talking about belonging too. Belonging and relevance. And now that AI is kind of a threat, could be a potential threat more and more, and this technocracy of people's relevance in their jobs. A lot of these positions can become obsolete in not too long from now. But what I think at the core of this, the heart of this, is you're saying people can do this because they can, but they have to. We have to really dig in and question this. At the end of the day, why would anyone do this? Because a job is important. I'm not saying it is. A livelihood, supporting for those you care about is important, but at the expense of someone else. Just because you prove that you can and you have to stay relevant. I mean, this is a sense of like maybe entitlement. It brings into questions of. Disempowerment, people kind of lacking power. But I think even more fundamental, scenario like you pointed there, which I don't think is probably that far off, or it's operating for a lot of folks, it seems, is just kind of a hate, an ill will in the heart. Because if the ill will wasn't there, then it would be hard for them to carry out actions like you illustrated there. It is kind of this ill will in the heart, in hatred that, I don't care about someone else. I'm just going to do this because, I need to do it because I want to stay relevant and powerful.
Alive. I want to stay alive. This is where it came to. Yeah. Today, leaders have to stay alive. They have to not only, I have the house, I need to, and housing is a manipulation tool too, which is that. And the people say, oh no, I have to do it. And when it comes, which I say, when they box us, we're going to kill. And nobody wants to talk about this. I said, we will kill ourselves because it goes into fight flight. And when fight flight is, then your DNA takes over. It's not like you are a mean person, I'm a mean person, that we want to kill each other. Our DNA takes over because life is so precious. And our DNA is designed to survive. And that's why you have these irrational, completely insane movements of leaders, because you and I are afraid, but we are not far away afraid as the leaders, because they have so much to lose. They have so much to all of a sudden be nobody. And that I know a lot of people that actually wear political, and because I'm also a political advisor, and they wear political, they wear really on top, and they're nothing now, nothing. They're in their 70s. Some really hurt because all of a sudden they're not seeing, but they are really sad.
And there are people that know how to prey on people's survival instincts too. They know how to get them into situations, influence, and to trigger these things, and then
creativity.
divide and conquer. And when people are divided and fighting amongst each other, they're not as strong to stand up for people that will then assume control over them. It's a common divide and conquer tactic,
And if you feel sick, you can't fight. If you get poisoned by all that stuff that's going on, with the sun, blocking the sun out, and there's a perfect example. You know how many satellites we have. The sun is already dimmed because of the massive amount of satellites. Yeah. So why would we think? Because it's a business. It's a business that we have built by saying we have climate change, and now. And this has nothing to do with science. Nothing. It's a business. Science is a religion and business. Science is not to figure out and saying, I know real scientists, which actually taught me that. A real scientist never says he knows anything. Never, ever. He says, I'm looking at these critters and I studied that and this is what I found out. So it is to balance us in our current situation. It says, okay, when this is man-made and this is not man-made, but everything is man-made instantly. We had an ice age. I said, didn't we have an ice age? So why are you talking? The Earth has ebb and flow, right? It's ebb and flow. It's hotter. And when you were a kid, it was a different weather than now. Was that us? Yes, to an extent, but not everything. And to make that is making you guilty and shaming. And then you have nothing, you don't even want to say anything. You say, we poisoned the whole world and whatever. You don't even want to say anything.
Well, not only that, we're breathing out carbon dioxide. And if it really is a carbon problem, then it would just be better off if everybody was dead, because then they wouldn't be adding so much carbon through their outbreath, No, the whole thing has gotten a little out of hand. Obviously, something's going on, but what with erratic weather and stuff, but what they say is the cause of it, I think it's not 100% of the whole picture, There is a huge dimming going on due to not just satellites, other things. It's just obvious if you look in the sky. And, all... you could, I don't know if I need to go back down this rabbit hole because it sounds like you're already hip to it anyway. But, it comes back to the levels of deception. And, this Earth that's a farm for some people, getting their products harvested and making money on the human crop, so to speak. Which is unfortunate. However, I don't want to be all doom and gloom here, because as we know, the power of awareness and creativity is, like you're saying, more and more people are waking up to kind of what's going on, and they can sense this, and then we're seeking out solutions and just different ways to view things too, and respond to things as well, and being heartful and helpful, and doing our part, because everybody thinks, it's such a bad state. What can I do? But every single little thing matters. It's cumulative, right? Yeah. Don't think that it won't add up over time. And we do our part. Whatever, if it's speaking out, doing voting with our money too. You really pay attention to that. What you buy with your money, that can potentially drive markets and change reality. I know it sucks to have to think that, but that's the way the system is kind of built right now. Or so there's plenty of things we can do, and I think we'll start to wind this up. Maybe let's start getting more on a positive note too.
You said about solution. You said you didn't have a solution. You didn't want to. The solution comes automatically when people are aware. Because once you're aware that you got a kid, right, that you went sick and all of a sudden you got the kid, you know exactly. You don't have to know anything. The awareness of your situation makes you have the creativity given, your first superpower. Second superpower is, the dialogue that I said. And the third superpower is that we adapt. So you and I adapt to have this conversation, right? Those are three, and adapt to systems that want to control us, right? And it's not about revolution. See, the systems are so afraid that people revolute, I think, and then also they start these things up. So people think, oh, it's the migrants, it's those, it's those, it's those. It's not them, you know. And certain people or groups that are systemically defined as a group, of course, not happy because they are pushed into fight flight. And also, the more poor people you have, the more fight flight you have, and to survive, they do crime. So the richer the people, the more poorer the people. So it's self-created from the top down. And we have to get conscious enough where they can't do this anymore. And we're not going into the war, and we're not going to do this. And you know, why? And ask questions. Why are we doing war and pro-war and pro-climate change? That's playing with taxpayers' money. Because I go to war with you if I don't have to pay for it, and I have nothing to do. I'm not even seeing the dead people. It's easy to go to war. Yeah? Very easy. When you don't have to pay with your life or when you don't have to pay with your money. Because I would be for all war if people themselves would pay for that. But there's none of the all the people that decide war never have to spend a dime on war.
Just to tax money, just other people's
Yeah.
little
Yeah. It's like
nickels and dimes here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, it's again, this is about kind of harvesting consent and getting people's minds, winning people's minds and hearts, and getting their consent for things like this that they don't really fully understand what's going on. And I'm not saying I know the full ins and outs of it either, but you know,
we know nothing. Josh, I always say you know nothing. You're not an expert. Don't call me expert.
Exactly.
Don't call me anything.
The only thing I really know is that the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
So I like to put it that way. Well, there's the bell at the top of the hour that we waited for it to finish out.
Ring us out.
Before we started. And tell people how they can get in touch with you, how they can find your work, if you have any projects coming up, if there's anything else you want to draw people's attention to other than the church that where you're at next in Laguna Beach.
Yeah. I only say michaellm.com, Michael with 2 L's, m.com. And then go and read. I wrote a lot of things, and I'm talking about system relevance and human centricity. I would everybody like to read that, because that is awareness, and it makes your life 50%. I guarantee you, once you understand that, your life will be 50% easier. See, who can do that? Only aware people. I'm not saying you have to buy anything. Just read the article, and you as a human will be clearer, more aware, and you will. It will be 50% easier with less stress. Because in Harvard they say, our biggest thing is they have a 40-year study in Harvard for stress, and they have not come up with something. I came up with something. System relevance and human-centric. Not I came up; it came through me.
Beautiful, Michael. Thanks for joining.
We can do this anytime. If you want me, just call me.
Sounds good. May all beings everywhere come to know the highest, truest, most helpful awareness for their own benefit and for the benefit of all beings everywhere. May all beings everywhere realize awakening and be free. Bye, everybody.